Part 10. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 91. The air that had been frozen in the camp began to flow again. Bai Muchuan waited for everyone to finish laughing, then raised his fist with a smile and said, "No matter what, I am the first to support the eldest sister. I also obey the orders of the eldest sister." Chen Ling lowered his hand and the noise immediately stopped. "Now, I will divide everyone into groups. There are 32 of us in total, divided into 5 groups." Chen Ling stood up. According to where everyone was sitting, there were 6 people in each group. Chen Ling was not counted, and the cameraman was not counted. A small team is responsible for taking care of the campfire so that it does not go out. They are also responsible for turning the dried meat, being careful not to let it dry out too much. They also collect the leftovers. Those that can decompose naturally dig a hole and bury them on the spot, and those that cannot decompose are packed and taken away, too. Teams 3, 4, and 5 are ready to build a straw hut with me. Build a straw shed? Ah, is it the kind of wild straw hut you built last night? Producer Lin asked curiously. Old Turtle Dove and Sui Chow didn't know that Chen Ling had built a grass shed in the wild with his bare hands, so they came up and asked, "What kind of grass shed?" "Wait a moment," Chen Ling said. "I saw her dragging a branch about 1.5 meters high and as thick as a calf from the side, propped it up, and placed it on the break of the dead tree that had just been broken by an elbow. The skeleton of a pyramid emerged." "Sister, you just interrupted this dead tree, do you still have this consideration?" Sui Chow's eyes widened. "How about? Now in this special period, I want to save some energy." "I don't want to waste any extra energy," Chen Ling said, pulling the branches and vines on the ground and quickly started weaving. The branches pinned each other, and I pressed you. In a short time, the 3 sides were braided. A perfect pyramid-shaped wild tent is completed. Old Turtle Dove's hands were itchy. He had also set up this kind of wild tent, but he was slower than Chen Ling and did not have such good skills. "Miss Chen, what can we do?" Team 2, help find branches like these that are 1.56 meters tall, that are shorter than your own height and about the same thickness as your arms and legs. Team 3, go find some dry vines, longer and thinner branches, be careful. Some vines may have thorns, so the 4th team went to find some large dry pine needles, leaves, or broad leaves to use for paving the ground. The 5th team was responsible for collecting and organizing the branches that everyone brought to help me build a larger shed. Among the 32 people, there are 9 women and 23 men. Chen Ling plans to build 1 large shed, 1 medium-sized shed, and 3 small sheds. A small shed was given to Zhang Qiun and the captain of the medical team for easy care. A small shed was provided for Yang Zhao and Lu Dengfeng. Yang Zhao had some experience in medical care and could take care of the newlywed couple's mood when they wanted to be alone. A small shed to yourself. She doesn't like to be crowded with people. Very insecure. If possible, she would choose to sleep alone. The medium-sized shed was in the center of the camp and was prepared for the 7 women except myself and Yang Zhao. The remaining large sheds are for other people. Chen Ling arranged for groups 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to take turns on duty. Time is measured by the time it takes to burn the cattails. The burning time of a cattail is about 100 minutes. Just over an hour and a half. When Chen Ling arranged the group, it seemed random, but in fact he considered many factors. First of all, the members of the same group should not be too unfamiliar to each other, so as not to make everyone feel bored while keeping vigil together. Second, considering gender, there are women in each group, but not too many. Women have delicate minds, and according to genetics, women can hear subtler sounds in a quiet night and can detect crises earlier. After all, women have to raise babies and are more sensitive to the cries of babies and the sounds of approaching wild animals. Men can provide a sense of security. Third, age. Generally, the older people in the team go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. Young people like to stay up late, and getting up early will undoubtedly kill them. Therefore, Chen-Ling arranged for the older people to be in the 4th and 5th groups. They can go to bed earlier and wake up earlier. Everyone worked together to find the supplies Chen-Ling requested. As the saying goes, when everyone adds firewood, the flames rise. In less than an hour, Chen-Ling had put up a total of 5 sheds, large, medium and small. Large sheds and medium sheds are both like rectangular centralized boxes, the only difference is in size. Everyone stood in front of the shed, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction in their hearts. I made such a great shed. I picked up this branch. I helped hold this shelf. Chen-Ling was really tired now. However, she did not show a trace of fatigue, her expression was as usual, and she carefully arranged the rotation rules in detail. After arranging the rotation, Chen-Ling went to Zhang Qiun and the medical captain's small shed. Zhang Qiun didn't move for a long time. The small shed of the first pyramid was set up, and Chen-Ling asked him to rest. At this moment, the effect of the medicine wore off, and the wound began to hurt and become slightly inflamed. He was in a semi-conscious state, and he murmured moans in his sleep. "How is he?" Chen-Ling bent down and asked the medical captain softly. "It's not a big problem, it's just a slight fever. The ice pack has been used up," the medical team leader said. "It's good that the temperature can be controlled. If it keeps burning, it might not be good." When they came out to look for people, they didn't expect that they would never return. Most of the medical supplies were left in the camp of the program team. Chen-Ling thought for a second and said to the medical captain, "Wait for me." After saying that, she stood up and went to the front of her backpack. She flipped through it a few times and found a few exquisite small bags of sanitary napkins. She opened the sanitary napkin package and carefully poured the boiled and disinfected water on the sanitary napkin. When the sanitary napkin was fully absorbed by the water, she took it to the straw shed and handed it to the medical team leader. "Use this to cool down. When the temperature rises, tear it off and replace it with another one. Don't throw away the torn one. Put it in a ventilated place to cool down. It can also be recycled." The captain of the medical team took the sanitary napkin that had absorbed enough cold water. "This is the perfect physical cooling artifact. Refreshing and comfortable, say goodbye to high temperature, and bring angel-like care." "Chen-Ling, are you Doraemon?" the captain of the medical team praised sincerely. "It's amazing." "It's not amazing. I just know a little more about this than you." The captain of the medical team thought to himself, "I think you know a little more about every aspect than us." Chen-Ling watched the captain of the medical team put a sanitary napkin on Zhang Qiun's forehead. The cameraman faithfully filmed it, which led to an unexpected GG endorsement for Zhang Qiun in the future: sanitary napkins. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 92. Chen-Ling bent down and gently lifted up his clothes and checked Zhang Qiun's wounds. There is currently no blood leakage, and although the body temperature is high, it is within the normal range. Moreover, fever to a certain extent is a benign reaction and a physiological benign reaction of the human body to heal itself and resist the virus. At this time, white blood cells increase, antibody synthesis is active, the liver's ability to detoxify and detoxify is enhanced, and the body's circulation and metabolism speeds up, which is conducive to recovery. But on the other hand, you should not have a fever for too long and your body temperature should not be too high. Otherwise, the patient's physiological functions will be disturbed. If the body temperature soars and persists for a long time, or if you become irritable or convulsed, it is very dangerous. Therefore, you must take careful care and observe frequently. Chen-Ling then told the captain of the medical team, Team 3, Team 4, and Team 5 all have members of your medical team. You should watch carefully now. I have already ordered the medical staff of the next 3 teams to keep vigil for their turn. I'll take your place. I'll go and rest first. If there's any emergency, he'll call me. Okay. Chen Ling greeted the first team on duty and asked the other teams to go into their respective sheds to rest. The big brother who had been carrying the camera was also sent to rest and sleep by Chen Ling. Chen Ling arranged everything, went through it in his mind, and found no omissions before returning to his own tent. She took off her coat, covered her body, and lay on her back, watching the flames of the bonfire dancing faintly. Prepare to sleep. 3, 2, 1. Chen Ling fell asleep. Asterisk. And in faraway America, Amos, Joe's, Chen Ling's adoptive father, made a terrifying roar in his sleep. Ling, Chen, leave me alone. Chen Ling, go away. He was lying on the bed in a cold sweat, but he was still immersed in the nightmare and could not wake up. He kept twitching and struggling on the bed. It seemed that he had encountered something unimaginable and terrible in his dream. Excuse me, Dr. Ken, what should we do in Amos' situation? Should we wake him up now? No. Absolutely not. The world's top cardio-cerebral neurologist, who was hired with a large sum of money, took a pen and quickly took notes on the paper. He said to Amos's wife, his current situation is like sleepwalking. It is easy to forcefully wake up from a dream. It causes strong irritation to the nerves and, in severe cases, may cause permanent damage to the nerves. The pretty little wife wiped her tears with a handkerchief. You mean, we can only wait for Amos to wake up from his dream? Yes, the doctor said, I have a few questions to ask you. For the sake of the patient's condition, please don't hide it and tell the truth. Amos' wife nodded and added, however, I have only been married to Amos for less than half a year, so I'm afraid I can't answer many questions. It doesn't matter, the doctor said. Okay then, please ask. How long has this situation lasted for your husband? About 10 days, I have nightmares every night. I think this must be because he has just become governor and is busy with affairs and is under too much mental pressure. The doctor was non-committal and continued to ask. I just heard your husband talking in his sleep about a person's name. Do you know this person? Do you know what happened between this person and your husband? The little wife bit her lip. She knows. How could I not recognize him? She even thought for a time that the Oriental woman with long black hair was Amos's lover. I hate her very much and regard her as my imaginary enemy. Who knows, huh? She actually died. Let yourself worry for so long in vain. Hey, wait. It seems that it was after the death of that Oriental woman Chen Ling that Amos started to have nightmares frequently. Should I tell the doctor? The little wife thought for a moment. Amos strictly prohibited anyone from talking about Chen Ling. So, she finally said, I don't know him. The doctor's eyes glanced at her hand intentionally or unintentionally. Her hand was unconsciously clenching the handkerchief used to wipe away tears. Some people who have not received professional training will make some unconscious movements when lying. For example, eyes dodge, heartbeat speeds up, dry mouth, slight sweating, fingers unconsciously kneading things around them. How is his diet? Recently, the amount of food he eats has also decreased, and I see that he can't eat anything every day, and he is a little afraid of sleeping. The doctor scribbled notes in the consultation book. Finally, he closed the book with a snap. I have understood the situation. As for the medication, it is still the same as the prescription prescribed by the state hospital. The patient should not drink or smoke, and exercise more outdoors. If it is related to the person called in the dream, I suggest you talk to her privately. Yes. It's also beneficial to alleviate the condition. It's impossible, the little wife broke out. After saying this, she realized that she had slipped up. She had just said that she didn't know the person her husband was talking about in his sleep, but now he said categorically that it was impossible. The doctor gave her an inscrutable look. Then, without saying anything, he turned and left. The little wife breathed a sigh of relief. The doctor was escorted out of the door by bodyguards in Amos's mansion and casually got into a taxi parked on the roadside. The driver was a handsome blond man with tall build and well-proportioned muscles. "Where are you going?" "Mulholland Drive." The car drove away slowly. When the car left Amos's mansion behind, the driver spoke. "How is it?" The doctor raised his eyebrows. "As the new captain of the H Rangers and Amos's most capable subordinate, you didn't ask Amos, but instead went around to me to inquire, what's the matter? Do you two have any grudges? Or do you not trust him? Do you suspect that he is hiding something from you?" This driver is the new captain of the H Rangers, Nolan Lampson. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 93. Don't talk nonsense. If you don't mind living too long, don't ask too much. Nolan Lampson said coldly. Tisk, so cold and heartless. The doctor unbuttoned his white coat and elegantly crossed his legs in the back seat. When I went there, Amos was still having a nightmare. I heard him say, "Cheng Ling, leave me alone." "Cheng Ling, is it your arrogant former captain you told me about before? Didn't you often complain to me about how ruthless she was when training people, just like treating steel? She died, you were freed, you didn't have to endure her hellish special training, and you became the new captain. Shouldn't you be happy?" "Damn it! How could I be happy? I wish I could die with her." Nolan Lampson punched the steering wheel, and the car whistled sharply. The pedestrians on the street were startled and pointed at the car that was driving away and cursed. "Die together," the doctor's tone was not at all tactful. "You are too slow. You just like her. You have dated so many girls, don't you know what love is?" "I don't know. It's too late now, everything is over. She's dead. These days, I haven't seen her in my dreams for a day, I regret it so much. The last time I saw her, I was arguing with her and said she was conceited. The saddest thing is that I later found out that she was right." Nolan's voice was hoarse, and the veins on the back of his hand holding the steering wheel were throbbing. "I wanted to come back and apologize to her, but I buried her with my own eyes. She, such a powerful person, broken like a rag doll cut by a lawnmower, the top embalmer couldn't sew her up. Amos told me that she and the drug lord died together. I thought he was joking, but she was really dead. It was broken into so many pieces that I couldn't pick them all up." The doctor's eyes behind the glasses flashed a sharpness. "Since she is dead, why are you still investigating Amos? Are you suspicious of something?" "Doctor, you are such a talkative guy. I can't help it, life in the United States is too boring. I can find some new and interesting things here. I am a very qualified listener. If you tell me, maybe I can find something you overlooked." Nolan licked his lips. "I'm afraid I can't go on without the strongest whiskey." Tisk, the doctor took off his gold-rimmed glasses and put them in the glasses case in his bag. "It is agreed that this part is not included in the commission you give me." Nolan took out a handful of banknotes from his chest pocket and threw them into the back seat without even looking at them. "Are these enough?" The doctor was not angry. He bent down and picked up the bills one by one. "Whoever hates money is a fool. No one can be trusted, only money can be trusted." The doctor kissed the bill he picked up and said seriously, "Money will not betray you. $10 is $10. You don't have to imagine that it will become $100, nor do you have to worry about it becoming $1. It is there, forever unchanged. 10 minutes later, the two sat in the doctor's private wine cellar. 30-year Macallan. The doctor took out a bottle with a silver deer head from the wine cabinet, and took out a few ice balls from the freezer and put them into the whiskey glass. The amber liquor collided with the beautiful ice balls in the glass, making a pleasant sound. The doctor poured 2 glasses and handed one to Noah. Nolan raised his head and drank it all. Hey, 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 don't waste my famous wine like this. I have already spent money. I want to drink it. That's my freedom. Nolan drank a glass of wine, his eyes became darker. Drink slowly, the doctor poured another glass for Nolan distressedly. This time Nolan didn't drink it all in one gulp. He took a small sip, letting the alcohol numb his tongue, and said bitterly, I may be crazy, I always feel that she is not dead, she always said that she wanted freedom. I even guessed that she used the bomb to escape. In the end, I secretly took a piece of her tissue and did a DNA comparison. The doctor didn't ask the result. Tears slid down the corners of Nolan's eyes. This shouldn't be her ending. She should be as free as the wind, and no one can stop her. Instead of lying in a hard marble coffin. He roared. This was the first time the doctor saw Nolan cry. In his heart, Nolan was a tough guy. The doctor waited quietly for him to calm down. Nolan quickly regained his composure and took another sip of wine. I don't know if it was because of the wine or something else, but his voice was a little nasal. I also suspect that she died so tragically. Was it to cover up the wound and hide the real cause of her death? This thought lingers in my mind. So, you started investigating Amos. Amos has been having nightmares recently and can't eat. He said he missed Chen Ling too much, but I always feel that his sadness is a bit of a performance. Of course, everything is my guess. I can't investigate directly. I advise you to be cautious and never let Amos see that you are doubting him, the doctor said seriously. He is a tough guy. I know. Nolan put down the wine glass, looked at the doctor, and said lightly, but I can't stop the crazy thoughts in my heart. I want to find out the cause of Chen Ling's death. Even if it will bring me into big trouble. Do you think I'm stupid? Maybe the doctor also took a sip of wine, but I believe that if there are more stupid people like you in this world, it will definitely be a better place. Nolan clinked glasses with the doctor. To this humming world. To this humming world. The doctor took a sip. What are your plans next? Find a way to secretly investigate without attracting Amos's attention. As far as I know, Chen Ling met a teammate the night before she died. I want to talk to this teammate. Seeing how hard you work, Ling in heaven will surely be touched. Nolan smiled bitterly. That woman will not be touched. She is a heartless person. You don't know that when she trained me, she almost tortured me to death. It was a hellish devil training. The doctor silently added wine. The next 2 or 3 hours will be the same as before, Nolan complaining about how crazy Chen Ling is, how desperate she is, how iron-fisted she is, and how outrageous she is. The doctor listened silently, and a trace of yearning emerged in his heart. It's a pity that she didn't know this amazing and interesting person when she was alive. Asterisk. Chen Ling opened her eyes. She had a melancholy dream. In the dream, she was still the captain of the special forces, sitting around the fire with her teammates in the dense forest, talking nonsense. They can also barbecue, but it is definitely not so delicate and elegant. A group of rough men and women just cut the meat with knives and put it on the fire casually, regardless of whether some places were burnt black or some places were bloody, and they didn't bother to season it, just sprinkle some sea salt and put it in their mouths. Bitter, really bitter. But it also makes people miss it. Should I secretly see how they are doing? Chen Ling thought. Or just take a look. Just one look. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 94. Chen Ling gave herself 2 minutes to adjust her mood. times degree times. 2 minutes later, she sat up. The third group of members were gathered around the campfire, and the cattail grass stuck on the ground had just burned halfway. She should have slept for nearly 4 hours. Chen Ling took out her mobile phone and took a look. The damn zero signal and the deadly 7% battery. Chen Ling put the mobile phone in place, tied up her scattered hair, and came out of her tent. Her tent was at the outermost side of the camp, close to the pursuers. In this way, whether it was wild animals or pursuers, she could detect them at the first time. She was more accustomed to trusting herself, rather than relying on anyone. A truly strong person would not put his or her life safety entirely on others. Chen Ling made a little noise to let the three groups notice her, so as not to scare them. "Hey, Teacher Chen, are you awake?" The one who spoke was a young girl. Chen Ling remembered that she was a field staff of the program group. "Yeah, big sister, you didn't sleep for long, did you?" "Nothing to do now, why don't you sleep a little longer?" Sui Chao is also a member of Group 3. "It's okay, I always sleep less, this long sleep is enough." Chen Ling sat cross-legged around the fire. The faces of the members of Group 3 can be seen tired from the journey, but each of them looks happy like college students going out for a night tour for the first time. Tired but happy. There is no fear or worry at all. Oh, by the way. Didn't the photographer brother say that as long as the big sister wakes up, he must be woken up? Yes, he repeatedly asked us to do it and promised several big meals. I'll go and call Chen Ling. If everyone can be so dedicated to their work, we have conquered the universe now. After a while, the photographer brother with a bird's nest-like hairstyle, yawning, rubbing his eyes, carrying a camera, ran over. "Teacher Chen. I'm going to start recording." Chen Ling made a gesture of "please go." The members of this group neither have Bai Muchuan's natural familiarity nor his social skills of speaking to people in a human way and speaking to ghosts in a ghost way. Even Sui Chao is an introvert. Plus there is a camera next to him. It is difficult for people who have not received professional training to remain natural when the camera is shooting in front of their faces. They are also afraid of saying something wrong when they open their mouths. So, there was a long silence in the camp. Silence is the wild boar forest tonight. Several people looked at Chen Ling and felt that it was inappropriate to be silent like this. They wanted to talk, but they didn't know what to say. Chen Ling checked the dried meat roasted by the fire and turned it over. The bonfire was burning brightly, and sparks shot up into the sky. The flames jumped on Chen Ling's body. She looked so simple, so innocent, and as delicate and soft as Lin Daiyu. At that moment, Chen Ling was like an elf who did not belong to the human world, coming to them from somewhere in the forest through the heavy twilight. "What? Weren't we chatting happily just now?" Chen Ling was the first to break the silence. Then, she shook her head left and right, and her cervical vertebrae made a series of terrible cracking sounds. Her tone suddenly changed. "Could it be, are you discussing something that I can't listen to?" The three groups of people who were just immersed in the illusion that Chen Ling was a fairy in the forest. The illusion was shattered in a second. This is not a fairy at all, it is clearly a bug-level existence who can kill 2 Tibetan mastiffs with bare hands, kill a 400-pound wild boar with her own hands, and break a tree with one elbow. What Lin Daiyu is so pitiful? Damn it! This Lin Daiyu can pull out a weeping willow. She doesn't even blush or breathe heavily. The atmosphere was instantly revived. The young man in the technical support group of the on-site equipment group, who was wearing thick glasses, pushed his glasses and said seriously, "Big sister, we will never discuss you in an unsafe place, at least not in a place where you can hit us with just one arm." That's right. Besides, Teacher Chen is so outstanding and powerful, if we discuss you, it must be good words. Before the show starts, we can't guarantee that we will say all good things. The girl on the scene was quite serious. Before the show starts, all the staff of our program group are your fans, but they are all black fans. Everyone winked at each other frantically. But, the girl on the scene waved her fist, now, we have all turned from black to fans. We are all discussing privately how to divide up the things you used in this show. I grabbed your right sock. Chen Ling. Silently pinching the hole in the thumb with the toes of her right foot. There is a sense of crisis that once you reach a safe area, you will face the crisis of running naked. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Bulletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 95. To be honest, Chen Ling carefully inspected the faces of the three groups of members. I am very worried about the mental state of your program team. Go to the psychiatric department for a checkup. You can save money on anything, but not on medical treatment. Help. Teacher Chen, your mouth is too vicious. Have you been lurking in Daeun Club for 3 or 5 years? Big sister, has no one really hit you because of your vicious mouth? Hit me? Who dares? Chen Ling laughed wildly. Even if someone dares, they can't beat him. Everyone laughed like a group of lunatics who had just been discharged from the hospital. The young man in the thick glasses of the on-site equipment group's technical support group laughed the most crazily, rocking back and forth, and something slipped out of his pocket. The latest global networked game console from RET. Several games are very popular among young people, and many young people have become sub-healthy in advance because of staying up late to play games. There is no problem with the game itself, the key lies in the game console itself. Chen Ling participated in a link in the production of this game console satellite communication fusion technology. RET is a company with strong financial strength, and the boss is a game fanatic who hates network lag when playing games. He spent billions of dollars to launch a satellite specifically for their company's game consoles. Chen Ling's phone still has a weak 7% battery left. If she does some minor processing on her phone and the game console, she can use RET's satellite with super strong signals to send information to the outside world. In other words, she has a super satellite phone that can have signals in any corner of the earth. The thick spectacled brother bent down to pick up the game console, and a slender but intimidating hand reached out from the side and took the game console first. It's Chen Ling. The brother? Chen Ling smiled. Except Sui Chao, everyone else, including the photographer brother, saw this scene and this smile, and they all felt a subtle sense of familiarity. This smile. It is full of the cruelty and ruthlessness of the predators. It is a smile full of sympathy for the squirrel drone people who are about to be robbed. Fight, rob. Handsome boy, the game console is great, Chen Ling said in a coaxing tone to a 3-year-old child, give it to me, okay. I'll buy you 10 when we get back. Little brother, I really want to. But please don't laugh like that, I'm really scared. Chen Ling saw the little brother nod tremblingly, then took the game console, returned to her tent, and came back with her backpack. Big sister, do you want to play games? Sui Chao asked. No, I want to make a small modification. Whether we can end our desperate survival in advance depends on whether our modification is successful. Chen Ling patted the game console and mobile phone that were about to be dismembered with pity. She took out her small knife for dismantling express delivery from the bottom of the bag. It can be used as a one screwdriver. The important parts of the drone hidden in the bag, the onboard computer and the drone sensor. These two things can increase the success rate of the modification. Please help me find a rack and hang the camping light about 1 meter above the ground. I need brighter light. Also, please move a little, try not to be in front of me, to block the light. I can't get too close to the campfire, so as not to burn important components with the high temperature of the flame. Also, photographer, don't shoot my specific modification process in this part, raise the camera a little, just shoot everyone or the head and face. The photographer gestured okay. Anyway, the audience only wants to see Chengling herself. As for the steps of how she assembles things, I'm afraid not many people want to see. After the camping light was fixed, Chengling also found a few flat stones, spread her coat on it, flattened it, and used it as a temporary simple workbench. Everything is ready. Chengling moved his wrists, fingers, and neck, and then lowered his head to disassemble the mobile phone and game console. Reconstruction is much more difficult than disassembly. Dismembering the drone with a campfire is enough lighting, and Chengling can even disassemble it in the dark. It can be assembled and modified. If you shake your hands, break an electronic component, or connect the wrong wires, you will fail. Therefore, you need not only patience and carefulness, but also strong hands-on ability and knowledge reserves. What to burn, what to connect, what to cut, and what to assemble. Everyone was attracted by Chengling's head-down modification. No one in the third group even noticed that the cattail used for timing had burned out. Even if they found out, they probably wouldn't want to go to bed. It is said that men look the sexiest when they work hard. But Chengling's serious work is not only humming sexy, but also decompressing. People who watch her busy can't help but sigh. We are all born by our parents, why is there such a big gap? How can she be, and this is also possible? What can't I do? Look at her shuttle fingers, there is a kind of elegance and calmness of playing the piano class. They are all hands. Why does it take me several minutes to untangle the tangled headphone wires, but other people's hands can even tie and connect wires as thin as hair? No wonder they say reincarnation is an art. But God didn't give me the opportunity to learn how to reincarnate. About an hour later, Chengling finished. The game console was completely disassembled, revealing the motherboard inside, and the phone was reinstalled, but there were a few more connecting wires, connecting the motherboard of the game console and the onboard computer of the drone. The young man in the technical support group was so envious that his eyes almost burst out. In ancient times, Tony made an Iron Man armor by hand in a cave, and now Chengling modified a satellite positioning phone in the wild boar forest. It's awesome. Chengling put down the screwdriver and then turned on the phone. Waiting for the boot process, Chengling was a little nervous. Soon, the boot pattern disappeared. The phone display changed. It showed a page for entering lines of English code. Then, she entered a series of English and digital combinations in the input box at the bottom of the phone screen. After typing hundreds of lines of code, Chengling pressed the enter key on the phone screen. Do you want to execute this command? Yes. Yes. The program has been started, is being executed, and the remaining 92%, 88%, 63%, 0%. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 96. The program started successfully. Please enter your instructions. Chengling breathed a long sigh of relief and tapped quickly on the touch screen of his phone. The battery on her phone was suffocating, and she had to race against time. Entering command. Command input successful. Global grid positioning analysis is in progress and is expected to take 5 seconds. Analysis completed. Your current location, N46 degree 34 14.95 north latitude, E118 degree 34 52.18 east longitude. Accurate location on the map. Chengling didn't hesitate at all and immediately sent the string of numbers to Brother Cheng's mobile phone in real time in the form of a text message using satellite. Our current exact location, N46 degree 34 14.95 north latitude, E118 degree 34 52.18 east longitude. Everyone is safe now and the criminal gang has not caught up with us according to comprehensive analysis. They should be in a fan-shaped area of about 13 kilometers to 16 kilometers southwest of our location. The battery of the mobile phone is about to run out. It is now 3:46. I'll wait there for 4 hours. At 7:46, we will continue heading due north. After Cheng Ling sent 3 messages, the weak phone battery finally ran out, and the phone screen flashed and finally went out. The people in the 3 groups were so excited that they didn't dare to breathe. Cheng Ling showed a comfortable smile. It's done. Asterisk. Time goes back 4 hours. Tank kicked Dolly furiously. Where are the people? I'm asking you where are they? Dolly was kicked to the ground violently, and then Tank's foot pressed into his chest, making him unable to move and raising his pistol. Dolly looked at the gun in Tank's hand, trembling with fear and speechless. You old turtle. Didn't you say they would go out of the forest? Tank loaded the gun with a click. I don't know either. Dolly's teeth trembled as he looked at the jet black barrel and suddenly had an idea. Maybe they are lost? Yes, they must be lost. It should be now, still crying for father and mother in the forest. Tank put the gun back into his belt, took his feet back, and said with a smile on his face, "Hey, why did Dolly fall down? He must be tired. Hurry up and get some money to help him up." None of the subordinates who dared to breathe came forward. They are afraid that the moody Tank will make them angry because of their strong support. Dolly stood up and said, "I can do it myself." Tank looked at his watch. It was almost early morning. They had just walked all the way from the lumber factory to the entrance of the forest. There were more than 70 people, each with a distance of about 3 meters. They were looking for it from the inside out, just like a grate looking for fleas. Tank narrowed his eyes. This shows that they did not go to the exit. Maybe they were lost in the forest, as Dolly said. Ha 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 ha, Tank laughed. More than 70 men stood quietly watching him smile. When no one responded, Tank quickly finished his laugh and said, "These guys found the wrong way. They must still be wandering in the forest now. I said, they can't get out. In this way, from you to you," Tank casually pointed at a group of people, about 10 or 20 people, "you will stay at the edge of the forest and wait for them to come out. Let's go back to the woods to look for the remaining brothers." Tank took 2 steps toward the forest and found that no one was following him. He widened his eyes, turned around and roared, "What the hell? I can't speak well." One of his subordinates plucked up the courage and said, "Brother, we've been walking for a long time, and we haven't even bothered to take a sip of water. The brothers are all tired. They can't run away, so why don't we take a break first?" Tank pressed his tongue against his gum. The hearts of the brothers were scattered. Is it because he shot that old bachelor to death? Or is it because of my own wrong judgment? From being certain at first, he is now a little uncertain. What if those people escape from the woods? No, the wild boar forest has a special geographical location. As a local, he had heard countless times that local veterans got lost in the forest and could not get out for days. How could those city people come out? Right. Don't worry, it's 10 minutes and 20 minutes, 1 hour and 2 hours. Thinking of this, Tank bared his teeth and grinned, "Tisk, of course I know you are tired. I'm taking you to take a rest. There is no one at the lumber transfer station over there right now. Let's go over and take a rest. The lumber transfer station is not far away. It is said to be a transfer station, but it is actually like a simple train platform. There is a room that is not too big or too small, and is prepared for the employees at the transfer station who are responsible for labeling and weighing the wood. The house was locked, so Tank had someone break the nose of the padlock with a brick, then pushed the door open and walked into the house. There was only one chair, a cabinet, and a wooden table in the room. Tank himself was tired, so he sat down on the chair. More than 70 other brothers walked in silently and sat down one by one. Tank was dissatisfied. What can you expect these losers to do? It won't work if you are tired and miserable. One by one, when it comes to sharing money, they are more active than anyone else. When it comes to speaking harsh words, one is more fierce than the other. When it comes to doing things, they are nothing. Not as good as that Dr. Lucci. Be smart, have a mind, have ideas, and dare to speak. Not as good as having 2 dogs. If the 2 dogs were here, why would we have to go through so much trouble? We can find it in minutes by smelling it. Tank yawned. Yawned again. The brothers in the room were curled up against the wall, and many of them were snoring. Sleepiness is contagious, and Tank is a drug addict, so he is more sleepy than the average person. Tank rubbed his eyes, leaned back in his chair, and thought, those city people, I guess they are crying right now. He tilted his head and fell asleep leaning against the chair. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 97. John Killen arrived at Senchinj with a platoon of 36 Feng Cheng commandos. Then, he successfully met Cheng Boshan. Are you Cheng Ling's brother? John Killen looked at Cheng Boshan, who looked anxious. They were not very similar to each other. But from their outlines, one could still see a hint of a close blood relationship. Yes, Cheng Boshan said concisely, who are you? I am the team leader, the temporary instructor. Instructor, let's set off now. With every second of time, Cheng Ling's danger would increase by 1 point. John Killen raised his eyebrows and looked at him, do you want to go in with us? Yes. No need. Cheng Boshan's face was calm but firm, no, I want to go. I promise that I will never hold you back, and I will definitely not cause trouble for you. Tell me the rules, and I will follow them. I really can't stand this torment of sitting and waiting. He really couldn't stand this torment of being unable to do anything except waiting. John Killen hesitated for a moment and nodded, okay. If he wants to get Cheng Ling, he has to consider her family. If Cheng Ling is unwilling to join his think tank, maybe her brother can help him. Besides, he has checked the information. Brother Cheng Boshan is a person with a very high IQ and is a steady and prudent person. It shouldn't be troublesome to bring him in. John Killen took out a satellite phone from his backpack and handed it to Brother Cheng. Change your mobile phone card to the satellite phone. When we enter the forest, the signal will be worse. If Cheng Ling sends you a message or calls you, you can't receive it, that will be troublesome. Cheng Boshan nodded and took out his mobile phone card and put it into the satellite phone. John Killen handed over another bulletproof vest, and Cheng Boshan put it on without any nonsense. He had already told his sister by text message that he had notified the Zhang family and asked the Zhang family to come forward for help. But the mobile phone text message kept showing that it was not sent successfully. Sister, please don't get into trouble. They set out from the center of Senchinj city and came to Senchinj Forest Park. The entrance to the forest was at the end of the park. John Killen and the soldiers were wearing black combat uniforms, with solemn expressions and light steps, and entered from the entrance of the forest. No one turned on the lights, and a group of people groped in the night, like a team of black panthers walking in the middle of the night, silently. However, not long after entering the forest, John Killen, who was leading the way, had excellent night vision and observed the ground while walking. Suddenly he raised his hand. Everyone stopped where they were. Why did they stop? Brother Cheng was anxious, but he was an outsider. The best thing to do at this time was to believe them rationally and not question professionals. John Killen squatted down to look at a strange thing in the bushes. His night vision was excellent. There was a red, wrinkled cigarette box among the fallen leaves on the ground. It was a soft pack of Zonghua cigarettes. There were 3 or 4 cigarettes left in it, which should have been dropped by someone accidentally. John Killen took out a flashlight from his back belt and shone it on the ground. From the traces of leaves, it seems that someone fell down and the cigarette box in his pocket fell out, but the person didn't notice it. These are not the main points. The main point is that there are a lot of sawdust stuck to the mouth of the cigarette box, the debris produced by cutting in the wood factory. If you smell it closely, you can smell the faint smell of engine oil from the cigarette box. This engine oil is commonly used in large machines in machinery factories or processing factories. Looking at the ground around, footprints are printed on the rotten leaves. This kind of footprints usually don't stay for more than 3 hours. What does it mean? A group of people who are suspected to be from the wood factory have been here? It must not be the program team. Because the program team will definitely not bring cigarettes into the forest. The program team is most afraid of accidents. Before entering the forest, they must have taken away the cigarettes of employees and guests. So, will it be the drug dealers? Drug dealers usually have a strong addiction to cigarettes. When they can't control their addiction by taking drugs, they will choose to take 1 or 2 puffs of cigarettes to relieve it. Put this cigarette box in the information bag. John Killen signaled the soldiers to put on gloves and put the cigarette box into the material bag. Then, he took out a gun from his waist, bent down and whispered, "Everyone be alert. The criminal may be nearby. Protect Mr. Cheng." The assault soldiers were extremely serious and they didn't want to miss any word of John Killen's words, and even wanted to treasure the punctuation marks. It was a blessing from heaven to be able to go on a mission with John Killen. Although he has retired from the Chinese Special Forces for many years, his legend has always been there. This is a bold, intelligent, and physically fit big boss. He can fly airplanes and submarines, and he is even more of a genius in electronic communications. It is said that he single-handedly raised the security and stability of China's wartime electronic communications to a higher level. What's more, his military exploits are so great that he can get a small box of medals. In the hearts of soldiers, John Killen is like a god of war. So, when John Killen showed up at the Fengcheng Commandos' exclusive military camp, the battalion commander was stunned. When John Killen explained that he was going to ask the commandos to help solve the case, he would lead the team himself. Is it going to be a war? Or some major international case? When John Killen explained that he was only going to arrest a gang of dozens of drug dealers, the battalion commander was even more stunned. Huh? Why use a butcher knife to kill a chicken? The soldiers who were chosen to go on a mission with John Killen were so excited that they were about to roar. Going on a mission with John Killen. This was enough to brag about to my grandchildren. Asterisk. After packing the cigarette boxes, the formation was dispersed into a triangle. Cheng Boshan was protected in the center. John Killen turned off the flashlight, closed his eyes, and opened them after adapting to the darkness. He bent over and carefully identified the footprints. Although it was dark, fortunately there were many people on the other side, and the traces left were quite obvious. They shuttled silently through the jungle in the dark night. Not long after following the trail, John Killen arrived at the wood distribution transfer station. He spread his right-hand fingers in the air, and then clenched his fist. This was a gesture for everyone to stop moving forward and wait on the spot. Under the gaze of everyone, John Killen held the gun and rushed towards the small house of the transfer station alone. He was very fast, but he could make himself not make a single sound. It was like watching a high-quality action movie without the sound on. He came to the window, leaned his back against the wall, and looked in the window with his side face. Wow! The room was full of big men. All of them were sleeping. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 98. When Tank woke up and a group of soldiers pointed guns at his head, he thought he had traveled through time and space to the chicken-eating game. He had never seen so many soldiers with live ammunition in his life. He was not fully awake until he was handcuffed. The brothers in the room begged, "I don't know anything. I'm just an errand boy. He's the one who killed people." "Yes, it's him." In less than 10 seconds, the brothers confessed Tank's crimes. John Killen searched Tank's clothes for guns, ammunition, drugs, syringes, and a black mobile phone. John Killen put the phone in his palm, thought for a moment, turned it off and put it in his pocket. Then, he walked in front of Tank. "Tell me, where are those people?" John Killen said in a low tone. Tank instinctively didn't dare to look at this man. The strange thing is that this man is obviously amazingly handsome, but the first time he saw this man, he didn't think he was handsome, but felt instinctively afraid. It was an invisible pressure. It's hard to describe in words. Like a person with thalassophobia, thrown into a small boat in the vast ocean, then looking down to see a shadow hundreds of times bigger than the boat swimming towards him from the bottom of the water. Like a person with acrophobia, standing on a bungee jumping platform, being pushed down and realizing that he was not wearing a safety belt. Like a person with trypophobia, seeing a moth's fat belly lay dense white eggs, each with small black eyes, and the next moment, being drowned by the moth eggs like a tide. The kind of disgust and fear that cannot be overcome physiologically. "I don't have much patience." John Killen looked at Tank coldly. "I'll ask again, where are they?" Tank's rude and reckless spirit came up, and he stiffened his neck. "I humming killed them all." Dudley and the others were all anxious. "Murder? Then wouldn't they be guilty of more crimes?" "No, no, no, officer. They are alive and well. Still in the woods." "Officer, no one was killed. No one is dead. They are all fine." A group of criminals talked at once. John Killen took out a spring-loaded army knife from his waist, and the sharp blade popped out. "Shh, don't make noise," John Killen said. Everyone immediately fell silent. Tank looked at the knife so close, spitting, "You can't hit people, I will sue you, ah ah ah." His words were interrupted by a series of screams of pain. John Killen held the knife upright and cut the flesh connecting his earlobe and cheek cleanly. The flesh in this area is very thin, but there are still many nerves and blood vessels. But after a little bleeding, the flesh of the earlobe and cheek stuck together. Tank struggled in pain, but the soldiers holding him on both sides were so strong that he couldn't move at all. This man. Is he a lunatic? Why did he use a knife without even saying hello? John Killen made a tisk sound, stretched out his hand and pinched Tank's pitiful earlobe that was swollen like a cherry, kneading it with his thumb and index finger, and a few drops of blood flowed from the red earlobe. The severe pain made Tank whimper and tremble, but he couldn't say a word. Tank is a sadomasochist. He enjoys the pleasure of sadomasochism, but he doesn't like being the one being abused. This is not happy at all, and it is extremely terrible and painful. John Killen turned his face and explained to the other soldiers in a flat tone, just like a teacher in the classroom answering questions and solving doubts for the soldiers. Not hurried or slow, the voice is clear, the earlobe is rich in nerves, the pain is strong, and the healing ability is very strong. Even if you do this. John Killen pulled the earlobe. Or like this. He pinched the earlobe. Or like this, he pulled the ear out horizontally. Both can cause intense pain to the other party. Moreover, this wound is far from being a minor injury. During the arrest of a criminal, physical conflict and such wounds are within the permitted range. They do not count when examining the wound. And there are about 60 such places on the human body. After explaining, John Killen turned around and looked at Tank up and down with the eyes of looking at slaughtered livestock, and said lightly, "Or do you want to try them one by one?" The eyes were like entities, and the places they swept over could not help but hurt. Tank burst into tears and said with trembling lips, "No, no, I will tell you everything. I will tell you everything." John Killen put away the dagger with a click. Tank was like a frightened bird. Hearing this voice, he was so scared that his whole body trembled violently. John Killen walked to Cheng Bashan. "Give me 2 minutes. I will interrogate you." Cheng Bashan nodded. Interrogation is a confidential matter, and no outsiders can be present. Everyone in the room was taken out, leaving only John Killen and Tank. "Where are those city people?" John Killen sat on a stool with his legs crossed. "We lost them at the lumber mill. We never saw them again." "When did you start making and selling drugs? What was your sales process? Who was your superior? How much does your gang's boss know?" John Killen asked. Then he remembered something and added, "Don't miss any questions. Don't delay. My patience is limited. This is one of the effective interrogation methods. Don't let the other party feel that they can choose not to answer, or give vague answers. Don't give them any time to think and make up answers. Finally, you must make the other party feel a sense of crisis, so as to get the most truthful answer." Tank's eyes bulged. "Don't miss any questions. You asked 5 or 6 questions at once. If I had such a good brain, wouldn't I have been unable to pass a single exam when I was in school? Aren't you forcing others to do something difficult? Young man, you have no martial ethics." John Killen crossed his legs, and click, he opened the switchblade again. Tank felt a sharp pain in his earlobe reflexively. He calmed down. His eyes were no longer bulging. He answered honestly, "I started selling drugs 2 years ago." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The soul travels through the 18th line. The female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 99. 2 minutes later, John Killen walked out of the room. Number 1-30, you are responsible for escorting the prisoners. Remember, no one is allowed to talk to the criminals without my order. Remember, no one is allowed. In addition, protect the prisoners, someone may want to silence them. 30 soldiers immediately formed a circle and gathered the prisoners together. On the 31st and 36th, you will follow me into the forest to carry out rescue operations. Amid the envious eyes of the others, the 6 soldiers puffed up their chests and followed John Killen and Cheng Beizheng into the woods. According to Tank's explanation, there are no criminals in the forest now. To believe what the enemy says is to be irresponsible to oneself. John Killen remained vigilant at all times. First, they have to reach the place where Cheng Ling buried the locator. As long as you find the locator, you can narrow the range and continue moving forward based on the information provided by Cheng Ling. There is currently no better way. After all, looking for Cheng Ling and the others in the 100,000-acre forest is like looking for a needle in a haystack. But there are more than 30 people in the program team, and their energy, physical strength, endurance, and mental endurance are all limited. I can't eat well and sleep well. These 2 things are enough to make me suffer. John Killen couldn't help but quicken his pace as he thought about it. It's not easy. The road is very winding and dangerous, with crooked tree roots protruding from the ground. The forest is full of thorny thorns, potholes will appear from time to time, and you will step on something sticky. It was like stepping on the rotting corpse of an animal. In this dark forest, every big tree looks like a beast hidden in the darkness. With every step I take, the pressure in my heart increases a little. The thick night is like ink, squeezing the senses. Is your sister scared? Will he hide secretly and cry? Are you cold, hungry, and scared? Cheng Beizheng just briefly understood his sister's mood at the moment, but he couldn't stand it anymore. While John Killen was exploring the path and observing the movements around him, he heard Cheng Beizheng's rapid breathing that suddenly became heavier. Brother Cheng, don't be too anxious, John Killen comforted him, They have successfully evaded the criminals' pursuit. They should hide somewhere now. We will try to find them before dawn. Cheng Beizheng gritted his teeth and suppressed his worries. Well, thank you, instructor. They walked towards the red dot for an unknown amount of time. Finally, the red dot appeared in the middle of the instrument. After all, it is a locator for a drone, and its positioning accuracy is not very high. This red dot corresponds to a forest area of 500 meters in diameter. Only by finding the locator can we roughly determine the direction Cheng Ling and the others are heading. Brother Cheng, take a rest where you are. You work in pairs and use metal detectors to search in tree holes, bushes, and the ground. Cheng Beizheng immediately sat down and rested. He wants to conserve his energy. John Killen stood there, recalling the live broadcast footage in desperate survival. Cheng Ling walked to the stream, picked cattails, and then looked up at the camera. From the angle at that time, it could be seen that the stream had a southward bend of about 30 degrees. Show me the map monitor, he said to a member of the commando team. The team member handed over a map display. In fact, it is an electronic map. It takes the traditional paper map and displays the map in the form of a screen. It can be zoomed in and out but has no positioning function and is not affected by signals. He first zoomed out the map and then found their location. Zoom in again and squint to see the direction of the stream. It's here. The bending angle of the stream here is exactly the same as the one captured when Cheng Ling asked to turn off the camera screen. And this location is exactly north of where they are currently searching. John Killen led everyone to the place he guessed and used a metal detector to find the camera hidden in the tree. Where will Cheng Ling place the locator? Assuming that he was her, John Killen slightly bent his knees. This height should be Cheng Ling's height. He just kept bending his knees and looked around. This place needs to be secluded enough, but not too secluded. It is best to have iconic items as reference. Do not get too close to the water to avoid heavy water flow during the flood season, which may submerge the locator and cause the locator to malfunction. In addition, she had to be careful not to bury the locator so that others would see it. This place. John Killen's gaze stopped at a big red stone by the stream. About 5 meters away from the big stone, there is a huge cork tree. This cork tree is very strange. Half of its branches are dense and full of leaves, while the other side has very sparse branches and few leaves. It is a tree that will not be ignored. If he were Cheng Ling, he would definitely choose to bury the locator under this tree. Look for that tree over there, John Killen directed. Before the metal detector even got close, it started making loud noises. This is it. John Killen carefully came to the tree and squatted down to dig himself. He was afraid that the soldiers would destroy the locator if they were careless. The location chosen by Cheng Ling to bury the locator was quite good. This used to be a cave for small animals, but for some unknown reason, the animals abandoned this place. Cheng Ling used the plastic bag used to transport supplies by drone, packed the locator carefully and stuffed it into the hole. Then I pulled some dead branches and vines from the side to cover it. John Killen carefully took out the locator and placed it in his palm, as cautious as holding a fragile egg. Once we find the locator, we can be more clear about the direction of advance, John Killen said. Next, we confirm that this road is the one they passed. At this time, Cheng Boshan's satellite phone rang 3 times in succession, interrupting John Killen's words. Our current exact location, N 46 degree 34 14.95 N, E1 18 degree 34 52.18 E. All members are currently safe, and the criminal gang has not caught up with us. Comprehensive analysis and judgment, they should be in the southwest of our location, about 13 kilometers to 16 kilometers in a fan-shaped area. The phone battery is about to run out. It is now 3:46. I will wait here for 4 hours. At 7:46, we will continue to move in the north direction. John Killen looked at these 3 text messages and was shocked. How is it possible? It is now 3:46. How did they restore their signal? No, no, the most important thing is, how can she get the longitude and latitude to so many decimal places? It's unreasonable and unscientific. Unless she can use the satellite with the strongest signal in the world, and hack into the satellite system to let the system provide her with permissions. In addition, she must have a sophisticated satellite receiver. If the US military uses military-grade satellites, with the help of top agents and special receivers, she may be able to get accurate positioning. But they are not the US military. They are just a group of small actors, members of a small program group, carrying a bunch of rags, in the dense forests of China where few people go and there are almost no traces of technology. The soul travels through the 18th line, the female agent is killing crazy in the entertainment. Author, Buletin Yehoyun Li. Chapter 100. Chen Ling stood up and rubbed her eyes. The camp lights were average, and the bonfire was jumping all the time. She had been staring at the tiny wires for so long that her eyes were a little sore. She felt a little regretful that a few messages came in the moment the phone was connected. But the battery was really limited, and she couldn't risk wasting it to read text messages. "Big sister, are you tired? Otherwise, you can go and rest for a while," Sui Chao asked. Chen Ling shook her head. "It's okay, just a little tired in the eyes, just take it easy. As for you, the rest and guard time of Group 3 is over, let's go to Group 4. But I'm not sleepy. I'm not sleepy, and I'm not tired, big sister, don't chase me away, I want to sit for a while." Chen Ling fiddled with the bonfire and asked, "Did you fall asleep when Groups 1 and 2 were on guard?" "Yes. I slept soundly. The people in Group 2 pushed me several times before I woke up. Everyone in Group 3 talked a lot. None of them wanted to give up the time to spend with Chen Ling. When they finally have to separate, it's too painful. Now I'm sitting side by side with her in front of the campfire, and I'm already feeling the pain of separation in advance." Chen Ling is a mysterious and powerful woman. It's unbelievable that this woman is actually a nerd who has been scolded on the internet. "Since you are not sleepy, come and help me clean up the dried meat," Chen Ling said. Chen Ling took down the pork that had been hanging by the campfire for roasting. This large piece of meat, after being roasted and dehydrated by the fire, still weighed more than 30 kilograms. Chen Ling placed the meat horizontally on the stump used as a chopping board. Chen Ling did not peel this piece of pork. It is not easy to burn the pork belly inside by roasting it with the skin, and the crispy roasted pork skin is also quite delicious. The skin of this piece of pork was slightly burnt and dark brown. To cut off the whole piece of pork skin, roast the inside over high heat, you can eat it. But the meat inside is still raw, so it needs to be cut into long strips and roasted deeply. I'll cut the meat into strips. You can spread the strips on the branches and sprinkle the dry ingredients. Chen Ling handed them the small bowl of dry ingredients left over from frying the meat fat residue. Find 2 branches of similar length to act as long chopsticks. Turn the meat strips from time to time. The meat dried in this way is more difficult to eat. But the advantage is that it can be stored for a long time. As long as it is not soaked in water and not too wet, it can be stored for 3 to 5 months. Many nomadic peoples or people in harsh areas will roast meat as dry food in this way. I like to eat harder and chewy meat. I like to eat wet meat. I'm very simple. I won't refuse any meat, Sui Chao said. Ha ha ha, you just say you're a foodie, the girl on duty laughed at him, but, Mr. Chen, you may be tired of hearing that, your barbecue is really great. First rate. Yes, yes. Chen Ling smiled, rolled up her sleeves, took out a knife specially used for cutting raw meat, and said as she cut the meat strips, "These are not the top-notch delicacies. Our stream just happened to be in its dry season. If the water is abundant, you can catch fish. I tell you, my grilled fish is the best. Just catch a few carps in the stream, simply clean up the internal organs, remove the scales, cut into floury cuts, and apply a thick layer of seasoning. When there is no seasoning, then touch the salt. Then find a wooden stick and insert it into the wild fruit, then put the wooden stick and the wild fruit into the fish's mouth, and put it on the fire to roast both sides. When eating, chew it like a chicken leg, and it tastes especially good. Or find a thin stone slab, put it on the fire, cut the fish into thin slices, and put it on the hot stone slab. It takes less than half a minute for the fish slices to be cooked. Such fish slices are very elastic and chewy. If you are at the seaside, catch a few mackerels, roast them over a high fire until the fish skin is crispy, and the fish meat is particularly plump and juicy. You don't need to add any seasonings, and you can't eat enough of them. A group of people swallowed a big mouthful of saliva. Strange, I was so full that I wanted to vomit at dinner, but now I have magically digested it and even feel a little hungry. Big sister, when you said that, I was so excited that I wanted to find a river and jump in to catch fish. But unfortunately, Sui Chow scratched his head. Excitement dies in action. Your light-hearted first step, catch a few carp, is an impossible task. Cheng Ling looked at Sui Chow with an expression of "this child is hopeless. If you can't catch it, can't you go to the supermarket to buy it? The carp in the supermarket is 8 yuan per pound. Ha 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 ha. Help. Sui Chow and I have the same idea. We are in a weird circle of thinking. Yes. If you can't catch it, then can I buy it? Ouch, my stomach hurts from laughing so hard. After everyone had laughed enough, Cheng Ling continued, people should learn to get close to nature, get out of the heavy concrete house, and learn to find some fun that is beneficial to their physical and mental health. The food you grill yourself may not be as delicious as the one in the restaurant, but you will have a strange sense of achievement and satisfaction. Don't try grilling fish, which is a bit difficult. You can grill some simple ones, such as grilled sausages, grilled chicken wings, grilled marshmallows, grilled green peppers, etc. The group of people started to growl when they heard it. Cheng Ling looked at them with amusement. The growling stomachs made her feel like she was in a pond on a summer night. Speaking of which, I didn't clean up the pig ears, pig noses and pigtails. If you want to eat them, I'll roast them for you. There are also some sausages and other things in the skull bag. A group of people nodded frantically. Hush. The other groups are still sleeping. We eat alone. He he he. The three groups rubbed their hands frantically. JPG. Wait for me to finish cutting the meat strips first. Cheng Ling speeded up his movements.